Hi, I'm Richard Burns, and thanks for coming to In the Flow, the channel for spiritual beings about spiritual beings. All of our episodes are embedded with transformational energy. Thus, as you watch, you can receive healing energy.
My name is Michalla Bohon, and I'm currently a clinical mental health counseling intern, as well as an expressive arts therapy intern. And I'm a big proponent for bringing in holistic services for individuals in that division. So I am also doing sound bathing, Reiki energy healing, life purpose coaching, meditation, hypnotherapy, past life regressions, pretty much anything that can tap into the subconscious in a new way and in a holistic fashion. I became a healer through a series of events, as we often do. In my childhood, I grew up with a mother who struggled with schizophrenia, bipolar that was undiagnosed, and a father who was an addict. And so we traveled a lot. They were professional ice skaters, and through always being around adults and through my parents, I suppose, consciously needing someone to be there for them, I developed abilities to be able to really be in tune with other people's emotions and to read their body language. And essentially that was where the counseling bit started, because I was a counselor to my parents. As I got older, I was taken in by my grandparents, and they introduced me to this whole world of art. So whether that was acting, modeling, singing, voiceovers, dance, cheer, pageants, painting, singing, I did all of that professionally for at least 15 to 20 years. And I got into my bachelor's degree, and I wanted to add depth to the characters I was creating through my creative writing bachelor's program. So I decided to get a second bachelor's in human developmental psychology, and what I found was a second love, because innately I was already used to, I suppose, being a counselor. And then after that, I got my first master's in clinical mental health counseling. My second master's I'm obtaining from Harvard right now in creative writing and literature. My third will either be in film or in Eastern Western psychology, and then my PhD will be in expressive arts therapies, hopefully at Lesley University. So here in my teen years, or I should say young adult years, I'm really exploring education and growing, not really sure of the healing path yet, more so the mental health aspect and human nature. So in my mid 20s, about 25 to 30, I began to explore the holistic side of things. I really feel like there's a need for more holistic practices outside of just Band-Aid fixed medication within the field of clinical mental health counseling. So that was when I got certified in a lot of the other modalities that I first mentioned. And I learned about myself along the way, especially through the expressive arts therapy. And it was so awakening. And here I am at this point. I think we're all born with innate capabilities that we can tap into. And I feel that because of my distinct background, that part of me was awakened. My mother's struggles with schizophrenia, bipolar, and my father was a drug addict, and they were both entertainers. So I grew up all over the place, and I was essentially their counselors. And I think that I became naturally good at reading body language for my own safety and being able to understand what the adults around me were going through on a deeper level. So it kind of became instinctual. Some of my clients feel some level of darkness surrounding them when they first come to me. It's oftentimes chemical depression or anxiety or a life transition they just can't seem to get out from under, a job that they hate, or things of that nature. And those individuals really want to be seen and heard and validated. So my job as the healer within that space is to help them to move that negative energy move through that and learn from it, or to be able to examine the shadow self, which is another term, I believe, for dark energy, and to work through that, find out where it's coming from, look it in the eyes, find its root, find its source, and then decide what direction they want to take next. Not all clients want to do that. I will say there are some, as we know, who come in and they're not ready yet, and there's nothing wrong with that. And they will come for a few sessions and find out that it's work. I always tell my clients it's so much easier to wake up and do the same thing you've done every single day, even if that means feeling depressed and anxious, because it's familiar and you can move through it mechanically. You know how to stay in bed and how to feel anxious and get through that, and it's just a very familiar thing. What's hard is change. What's hard is to push through what feels very uncomfortable and to try to move back into the light, if you want to call it that. I have people who come to me who have been raped and beaten, who have been through recent grieving, through deaths in their family. But I've also worked with people who just broke up with their boyfriend of a few months, who lost their job, and then everywhere in the middle, schizophrenia, bipolar, borderline personality, anxiety, depression, things of that nature. So people come to me for a variety of concerns, but I think that underlying denominator is that, again, they're wanting to be seen, they're wanting to be heard, they're wanting to be validated, they want to heal, they want to be able to move forward and to feel better again. And lastly, I do have a very specific client that I call in to my practice, or that I manifest or like to. And that is someone who is ready and willing to work, who has a bit of self-awareness already, who is dealing with the issue of doing more and being more, right? Being caught in that matrix that society's standards set for us, and coming back into themselves as a person. I believe that the question of, is our world becoming more enlightened, is twofold. On one side, you have media showing us exactly what we want to see. So people within the healing community are going to see a lot more videos on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube that feed into their likes. And so it's going to appear as though the world is going in that direction. But outside of media's control over our perception, I do feel that the world is becoming more enlightened, in that it's becoming more aware of itself, it's becoming more accepting, forgiving, and it's starting to advocate and become consciously awakened as a whole. In my opinion only, I think that medication is necessary for chemical imbalances that are very extreme, like schizophrenia and bipolar, only because, unfortunately, right now we don't have a lot of information on how to cure that naturally, although we can soothe it naturally. So I think that the holistic healing plays a part in helping those more extreme cases to find strength and resilience, and to accept it, and to be able to thrive even still. Because people need the medication in those moments, because they're hallucinating and they can't hold a job and they can't go to sleep and they can't function because it's so extreme. On the other end of the spectrum, if we're looking at individuals who maybe are situationally depressed or have anxiety or going through grief or a life transition, I feel that things like the expressive arts therapy, because that works on a quantum level, just like the energy healing does. There's so many forms of energy healing outside of just Reiki. It's working at a cellular level because it allows the person to heal themselves instead of thinking the therapist will heal them. It's like the teach a man to fish saying, right? If I can empower clients to recognize that they have the ability to grow and to learn and to heal on their own, then the ultimate goal is that they graduate from therapy or from the healing and only need to come back every so often. So in short, healing works better than medication in some instances because it's not a Band-Aid fix. It's a long-term fix, and it is coming from within the person, and so there's more possibilities. I don't think I've ever had a client, and I've seen hundreds at this point over the last 3 years. I've never had a client come in and not say, I was expecting you to be behind a clipboard, nodding and saying, how does that make you feel? And not really making me feel heard. So I contribute to my mission by presenting just as I am. When we hear someone say, my life's purpose is to inspire others, that doesn't necessarily mean that they have to aspire to something fantastical, right? In order to inspire, I think the best way we can inspire is by living in that authentic space.